Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial in Maya. My name is Veronica and today I'm going to show you how to create the spine setup for Tegan. If you don't know who Tegan is, it was my last rigging project, so you can check it in the description below. Tegan is based in a very popular setup and rig which is called Mr. Buttons, and is from this book, Cartoon Character Animation with Maya by Kate Osborne. I highly recommend this book, it's really cool. So even though Tegan and Mr. Buttons don't have exactly the same setup, I tried to make it look as similar as possible. So I'm going to show you how I did mine and hope you like it. Okay, so I have this scene with both rigs. We have Mr. Buttons and Tegan. And I'm going to make a small comparison between both setups. So starting with Mr. Buttons, we have a center of gravity control to move the entire body. I have 1, 2, 3 FK controllers that they also translate. So if you move them, we have squash and stretch. He also has these square controllers that work like an IK spline. So we have independent movement of the lower part of the body and the upper part of the body, and also obviously the middle. Obviously you can translate them, rotate them, and you can scale the upper and the lower, but not the middle. I don't know why. In mine we have as well a center of gravity controller. I like adding a pelvis to have independent movement of the lower part of the body, and then I have 1, 2, 3 FK controllers. Okay, that they also translate, as you can see, and they have a squash and a stretch as well. The difference here is that these extra controllers I have doesn't work like an IK spline, they work much more like a ribbon. So you have real independent movement of each part of the spine, and you can translate them, rotate them, and scale them to modify the volume of the original body. So this is actually the big difference between both. This is much more like an IK spline and this is much more like a ribbon. But everything else is pretty much the same. So I'm going to show you how to create this one. So first things first, I'm going to create a very basic spine FK, starting with a center of gravity joint. And changing this red color is super ugly. Okay, better. And remove his shirt. Okay, so here we have the joint, and this is going to be the center of gravity in here. I'm also adding the pelvis, which is going to be exactly in the center of gravity, but a little lower. And also I'm adding the spine. Oops, I hate when this happens. One. Okay. So the spine is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Very basic. Like that. Okay. both the spine and the pelvis are going to be children of the center of gravity. So I'm going to rename them really quickly. This is going to be the spine. I'm using Comet to rename spine. And joint. For this I'm using pelvis, joint. And this is a control joint, so I use JC, control joint control. Also using Comet for orienting the joints in set, like that. And I'm going to add controllers for this. So also using Comet for controllers, I'm going to use square. And for this, and this one, I'm going to use shapes, circle and X. Like that. Freeze all. And delete by type history. So this is going to be the COG controller CTL. This is going to be spine 1, 2, 3. A spine. And this one is going to be pelvis CTL. Oops. Okay. I'm adding a zero out or an offset for the controllers. And group them in hierarchy inside the center of gravity control. And the spine in hierarchy of FK. So I said that the spine and the pelvis are going to have rotation and translation. So oops. I'm blocking scale and visibility, block and height. And I'm locking scale and visibility for the center of gravity as well. Okay, now I have the basic rig. I just need to connect the controllers to the joint. All of them just translate and rotate. So I'm going to select the controller, in this case the pelvis, then the pelvis joint, and I'm going to hit on parent constraint with maintain offset and hit add. What the? Sorry, parent, not point, parent. Then the center of gravity with the center of gravity joint, then parent, spine 1, spine 1, spine 2, spine 2, spine 3, spine 3. Okay. So this super basic rig is working fine. I'm going to group this into a spine group. Spine group. Okay. So next step is that I'm going to create a curve. It can be cubic, it's okay. Yeah. So it's going to be 1 point for each spine curve, like that. where are you, curve? Here you are. And modify center pivot. There you are. And this curve is going to be spine stretchy CV. Now I'm going to duplicate the spine joints, Command D. In my case, I'm using Mac. And I'm going to have a copy of the first joint of the spine and the second joint of the spine. The first is going to be spine start JC, and this one is going to be spine end JC. Selecting both start and then the curve, skin, bind skin, selected joints, classic linear, bind skin. So now the joints are controlling the curve. Nice. Now I'm going to create 3 locators, each for one for each joint of the spine. So locators, 3 locators. And I'm going to select the first locator. Let's put them a name, spine 2 01 lock. Zero 2 0 3. Okay, now select the first locator, then the spine stretchy CV, constraint, motion path, attach to motion path. What I'm doing, show all. It's a way of doing ribbon, but it's not ribbon exactly. It's different. But I prefer doing this instead of doing a ribbon with follicles and everything. So next, select the locator, then the locator, then the spine stretchy, constraint, motion path, attach to motion path, the next. Okay. Selecting all of the locators, I'm going to break connections in the rotate. Okay. And also break connections down in the channel box where it says motion path, the U value, break connections. And put the U value in 0. A spine 201 lock is going to be to have the U value in 0. The second is going to have the U value in 0.35, 36, maybe. Okay. And the spine to number 3, its U value is going to be 0.75, less, 0.6, more, 0.7, 0.68, like that. So each locator is in the position of each FK joint. Now I'm going to create a new joint for each locator. So commit shapes joint. Okay. And also I'm creating a new controller for that ribbon. So shapes square. I'm not using exactly the same shape that I had in the original Tegan because it was a combined shape and it's going to be much more work. So I'm using a more basic shape for this. Okay, this is very big. Freeze all. Then move the control inside the joint and then freeze the translation and rotation. Okay. So what I'm going to do is to make the joint the controller. It sounds weird, but what I'm going to do is display and show shapes. Open the square number 1 and select the curve shape, then the joint, and then in hearing mail I'm going to write parent -r -s and hit enter. So the shape is now in the hierarchy of the joint. I delete this transformation node and do it again with all of them. And then delete these transformation nodes, I don't need them, and hide the shapes. So now the joints are the controllers and it's pretty cool. So select them and put a new name. So spine 201 CTL, spine 202 CTL, spine 3 CTL. Nice. And now I'm going to move these controllers into the joints, into the locators, like this, and make a 0 out of them. 0 out. It's not working, the 0 out. Freeze, rotate, 0 out. Okay. Let's save this. Okay. Okay, remember that I had these two joint controllers that control the curve, and now this is controlling me the motion path. I need them to move with the original spine, which is this one. So I'm going to parent the start joint inside the first FK control of the spine 01 CTL, hit P, and then spine end joint inside the spine 03 controller and hit P. Now my spine is moving my ribbon. However, if you see, it is translating, but it's not rotating the ribbon, and I need it to rotate. So I'm going to select the spine controller, then the spine tune locator, and hit orient. Spine to control, spine to locator, orient, spine 3 locator, orient. So now my FK moves my ribbon in translation and rotation. Yay. Okay. And let me stop. Okay, now that I have this entire setup, I'm going to skin it to this part of my character to show how it's going until now. So what I'm going to bind to the geo is the pelvis and the controllers of the spine tune or the ribbon. So spine, controllers, and then hit the mesh skin, bind skin. Yeah, like that. Edit, reset settings. Okay, bind skin. So by now, I have the FK working. However, when I translate, the mesh is not doing a squash and stretch, it's losing completely its volume preservation. So it's the only step I'm missing now. However, everything else is working. Obviously, the weights of the binding are really soft, so they are not working nice, but it's just painting weights. This is the pelvis, and then the spine, and blah blah blah. So everything is working nice. I just need the sorry, the spine to be a squash and stretch. For that, what I'm going to do is selecting the spine stretch ECV window node editor and drag it into the node editor. I need the spine stretchy shape. I can delete this. So I'm going to create first a curve info, then add multiply divide. I need 3 multiply divides, 1, 2, 3, and put them names. So this is going to be spine stretchy info. This one is going to be spine stretchy divide. This one is going to be spine invert power. There is already, yes, the other one. And this one is going to be spine squash divide. Okay. So I'm not explaining all the theory behind this because there are other tutorials that explain this, and I don't want this to be much longer than it needs. So please do a little bit more of researching on what is happening here. But I'm connecting the workspace into the input curve to get the length of the curve, then the arc length into input 1x. I copy the same value of input 1x into input 2x and put it in divide. This is going to make the curve, or in this case the joints of the ribbon, stretchy. But I need them to be squashy, so the output x of the stretchy divide inside the input 1x of the invert power, input 2 is 0.5, then output x into of the invert power into input 2x of the squash. Sorry, the invert power, I have to put it in power. And the squash in divide. And I cannot divide by 0 because it's going to make an error, so I divide it by 1. And this stretchy and squash is going to be connected to those 3 locators. So I'm going to put this, oh boy, okay, this one. Okay. Please show me what I need, Jesus Christ. 3. Scale, okay. Okay, so the stretchy output X is going to the scale X of the spine locator 1, 2, and 3. And the squash is output X is going to scale Y and Z. That's it. So now that I select the spine, now I have a squash and a stretch. And if I wanted to be more obvious, I can go to the node editor. Where are you, node editor? Window node editor. And here what it says power, I can modify this value. So it's going to be more stretchy or more squashy. Okay. I like 0.5 because it's a happy medium. But that's pretty much it. So now I have a very bad weight painting, but FK squashy ribbon setup. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.